Hey guys, I'm back again. I know I just barely filmed a video, but I was really excited to film this one for a little bit, so I decided, why not do two in the same day? So this is a big book haul, probably the biggest I've ever had, ever, and it consists of 25 books. I know that seems like holy crap, but I bought them all online, and some of them were really inexpensive. And I also had a little gift card that I used, so I didn't really pay a lot for 25 books. Kind of the perks of sometimes buying from online than in the bookstore. You can find them a lot cheaper. And I'm not saying I don't like buying books at the bookstore. I actually prefer it, but online it's just, save so much money. So with that, I will get started because we have a lot of books to cover. Alright, the first book that I am so excited about is Full of Lead Lines by Richelle Mead. This is probably the book I have been wanting so long. And what is funny is when I read The Vampire, if you're familiar with the Vampire Academy series, sorry I looked up, it's on the top of my bookshelf, but I just barely finished and read them, and I am in love with The Vampire Academy. I don't know why it took me so long to read them, but now I'm kind of like, I have to know what happens next, even though they don't follow the same storyline. I'm just still anxious. And actually, as I got into like the third book of The Vampire Academy, I told myself I wasn't going to read this spin-off series because it just wasn't the same, but I already heard some spoilers and found out some of the characters that were in it, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta read this book. So I picked it up. I love the cover. It is gorgeous. You've got like the side of it like this. Oh, I'm so excited to read this. It'll probably be one of the next books I read after I finish the Mortal Instruments series. So, yeah, I'm really excited to read this. And I know that the second book, is it The Golden Lily, comes out really soon, like in 2 or 3 weeks. So I gotta buckle down and read this. But I'm also trying to take my time, so. The next two books I got are in the Mortal Instruments series. So I got The City of Fallen Angels and The City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. Now I know it seems weird to be kind of buying like both of these at the same time, but I had bought the first three in a box set, and it was really cheap. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it was almost the price of one of the books at a bookstore, so I'm kind of like, well, I'll go with the box set and see how I like it before I buy more in the series. That's why I decided to purchase the next two, because I know I will read them. And if you're not familiar with this series, check out the City of Bones review I did. I'm currently on the second book, but I'm just devouring these series, and I love them. So, the next two books I got. I also picked up by Cassandra Clare out of recommendation, Clockwork Angel and Clockwork Prince. This is the Infernal Device series, that also by Cassandra Clare, and I heard it's kind of like a spin-off through the Mortal Instruments series, so I'm not quite 100% sure what they're about. I'm sure most of you probably do. So, and I heard that the author, I saw on like a web page that it's meant to be kind of like a complimentary storyline to the Mortal Instruments, so you're supposed to kind of read, I think the first book after, which one was it? So I think you're supposed to read this after City of Glass, I believe. Yeah. And then you just kind of alternate, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, so maybe I'll finish that series and then read this, so I will let you guys know. The next two books I got are also, I feel like I'm kind of delayed on getting because everybody has read them. Also, I feel so behind with a lot of these series. I know I'm terrible. But I got Divergent by Veronica Roth, and I also got Insurgent. So I know it's kind of weird to buy both books before, but I found this online for a really good price, probably one that I'm not going to be able to find, so that's why I went ahead and bought this one too. Because I usually just like to buy the first book in the series and then see if I like it, but I have a feeling I'm going to love them anyway, so might as well buy both. Another book I am super excited about is Everlasting, and it is the Kissed by an Angel series. I don't know if this is the final book, I thought it was, but it's by Elizabeth Chandler, probably one of my most favorite authors. I love the Kissed by an Angel series. If you're not familiar with that book, I would highly recommend it. I will even do a book review on it if you guys would like, but it's mostly about this girl named Ivy, and she's in a car accident with her boyfriend, Tristan, and he gets killed, and she lives, and it's probably like the only book I've read through that I've really bawled my eyes out in, because it is so sad. And it's just, if you've ever dealt with a loss, you kind of relate, and she just doesn't feel like she can go on, and there's just this whole, like, murder mystery that someone's out for her type thing, and Tristan kind of is like her guardian angel in a way, and can connect to her through other people. It's so interesting, and I don't want to spoil how the other books go, but this is a continuation on from that series, so I'm so excited to dive in and read this. The next book that I got, I also feel, I'm so behind on a lot of these books, I'm very sorry, you guys, but it is Destined by PC and Kristen Cast. It is so far the last book in the series that they've written. I know there's one probably coming out very soon, but I just haven't been able to get my hands on it yet, and I finally have, so anxious to read this. And I have a guilty, I have not, my books are way up there, but I have not even read the series yet, and I'm sitting here buying all the books, but my friends that have read them said I will absolutely love them, so when I see them go on for a really good price, I've been getting them, but I just keep putting off reading it, so those are also on my to-be-read list to read is the House of Night series. The next book I got, I am also excited for. It is The Vampire Diaries, Volume 2, The Hunter's Moon Song. And I have read this whole series up till now, and I know that there's like kind of 50-50 with readers on this new installment she's kind of got in, because it's not the same author. I'm very upset that they kind of kicked her out, but it's just something that I just want to read to kind of see how it goes. And I didn't hate the first book that the ghostwriter brought out, which was the one right before this, which was Pink Phantom. It just, I mean, it kind of seems like it is her writing. They are very similar writing styles, but it just really drug on, so I'm hoping this one picks it up more. I'm a huge fan of The Vampire Diaries, and I love the TV show, I love the books. It all started with my love of the books, so I just feel like I'm devoted, so I can't really just stop. So, alright, and then the next two are also the last ones in the series that were kind of, I don't know if they were in a box set, I can't remember, but I have the first one right here, which is Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. So I had the first one, so I decided to do the second one, Linger, and the third, Forever. And I read the first one so long ago that I need to reread it, because I think I started reading it, but I never got to finish it, but I really liked it, and my friend had borrowed it for the longest time, and I just got it back, so I'm going to have to reread them and maybe do a book review. But I knew I liked it enough that I'd want to continue reading the series, so I picked up these two books as well. The next book I got, I'm really excited to start reading this. It is Beautiful Creatures by Kemi Garcia and Margaret Stohl. I have heard a lot of good things about this, so I'm really excited to dive into it. I know there's a movie, I think, coming out on this very soon, so I wanted to dive in and read it. So I also kind of feel like this is a really known book, so I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. The next book I got is really hyped up about, so I decided I'm going to check it out as well. And it is Delirium by Lauren Oliver. And I'm really excited to read this, because I want to see, like, everyone's been telling me it's so good and that I have to read it. And just the whole premise of it sounds really interesting. Kind of like they brainwash them to think that love is like a bad thing to have. So when they turn a certain age, you get cured of it, like it's a disease or something, so they cure you of love, which I think is a weird concept. And I think it's either she falls in love before or something like that, or just meets a guy, and it's kind of like, do you want to go through with that? I mean, it's a weird concept, so I'm really interested to check out this book. And if you've read it, if you've read any of these books, let me know what you guys think, which one's your favorite, which ones you would want to see me read first, so I'd love to hear that. The next book I got is also by Lauren Oliver, and it is called Before I Fall. Now, I'm kind of embarrassed to show this cover, because it's just the blank one. It has kind of coming apart like this. It's because I got it at a thrift store, and it was missing the cover, but it was only like $2, so I figure I'm going to just buy it and read it. I mean, if I really adore it, I will maybe buy a better edition, so that, I don't know. But I know it's about a girl who kind of gets to relive the day before she dies, and she gets so many chances to kind of relive it, which I think is an also interesting concept. So I'm really excited to read this. I hear nothing but good things about it, so before I fall. The next book I got is kind of new, and I'm really excited to dive into it, and it is The Selection by Kiera Cass. I've heard a lot of good things about this. I've seen it on YouTube, watching book reviews. Everyone I've read or seen reviews on have loved it. Kind of like a Bachelor type premise where a prince gets to meet all these like eligible girls and gets to pick one type of thing. So I'm really excited to read this. I think it is such a cute storyline, so I'm really excited just to dive into it. The next book I got I'm really excited for as well because I've not been able to find it in a bookstore recently, and that's also of course when I decide I want to buy it, so I can never find it. So I found it online, and it is Sisters Red by Jackson Pearce. I am really excited. I love the cover. I'd like to sit here and stare at it because it's so cool. But it's basically two sisters that hunt down werewolves, and one of them I think falls for a werewolf, and it just has this huge battle going on. But sounded good. I really want to check it out, so really excited to read this as well. I also got 20 Boys Summer by Sarah Auchler. I think the whole premise of this sounds really interesting. I love the cover. That is so cute. I've read some good reviews on it, so I think it's just a fun summery read. It's perfect for the summer, so probably going to read this one really soon as well, like on a beach, or I like to stay on a beach, not that I live by one, but by the pool. Hey. The next book I got, I haven't heard too much about, but I know a lot of people have liked it, and it is Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. So, if you guys have read this, let me know what you guys thought. I mean, I've seen a couple of reviews, but not a lot of people seem like I've been able to find that have reviewed it. And I know it's about a girl who kind of goes to, like, a girl that discovers that she's a witch, so she is able to go to a school for witches, and there's vampires, or like a vampire, I should say. It just sounds really interesting, not like anything I've ever really read before, so I'm thinking it looks like a really easy read. Probably will finish this in like a day. I mean, if you look at like it's really spaced out, so I think it's just an easy, fun read. So I decided to pick it up. I also got another book, of course, and it is Matched by Ali Kandi. I've heard this book is also really hyped up, and I decided I was going to check it out. It's really similar to Delirium in the sense of love being kind of like a bad thing in society, and I think it's like an interesting thing that YA authors are taking, so maybe I think this is kind of the new trend, so see how that goes. It's about like once you turn a certain age, your life is kind of planned for you, what you're going to do, who you're going to marry, how many kids you're going to have, type deal. And when she goes to it's her turn to go up, there's kind of a glitch in the system, and it has two guys, so she gets to pick. So I think that it just sounds so interesting, and I've heard a lot of good things about it, so really excited to check this out. The next book I got is Fallen by Lauren Kate. I've been wanting to pick this up for quite a while. I just never got around to it really, but I also have Hush Hush, and I hear they're kind of similar stories, so I wanted to check this out and see if I liked it or not. I've heard kind of mixed feelings with it, that it's kind of predictable or whatnot, but I've also heard awesome reviews saying it's such a cute story, so I definitely wanted to check this out. Another book I got is Anna and the French Kiss. Very popular right now. Seems like a very fun summer read about a girl that gets to go to Paris and meets the boy, and just like, oh, it just seems like the cutest little read. I've heard amazing things about this as well, so excited to check that out. The next book I got, I'm super excited about. It is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer? The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer? I can never say that. By Michelle Hodkin. I'm really excited about this. A coworker of mine recommended this, and I've already seen it, but it's kind of one of those books that I would see and be like, well, don't know for sure yet. But she said I have to read this, so I picked it up. And when I read the back of it, I'm like, that sounds really good. How did I not read it before? Pretty much, the main character wakes up and has no memory of what happened to her, and oh, it says she wakes up in a hospital and she has no memory of how she got there or why her friends would kind of leave her, and it also kind of seems like it's a love story, so kind of excited to read that. I typically like a little romance in books, but not overly done, so really excited to read that. The next book I got is The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan, and this kind of reminds me when I was reading it of The Village kind of thing, where they're all contained into this little village, and there's zombies out and they can't cross and whatnot, and yeah, it just seems like a really interesting story. I'm really into those type of things, so we'll see how that goes. I know there's more series to this, but I know a lot of people kind of had hate on this, but it's one I wanted to check out, so I decided I will read it for myself and let you guys know. And lastly, but certainly not least, I have If I Stay by Gail Forman. It kind of sounds like an interesting concept. Kind of like something terrible happens and she kind of has to reevaluate what she wants out of life. And I think it's just an interesting story about how sometimes you're faced with hard decisions, and I just thought it seemed really interesting, so decided to pick it up. So that is my book haul. Sorry it seemed like a long one, but 25 books is kind of a lot. Don't know if I'll have this many books in the future. I really need to read quite a bit of my books before I buy any more. I need to quit buying books. It's just a terrible habit of mine. So let me know which ones are your favorites and which ones you think I should read really soon. And leave a video response or any comments down below. Love to read them and watch videos. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye!